Back again with episode 15 of the Coastal Feuds podcast. I'm your host, Braden Plort. Alongside me is Charlie Van Dyke, Tyler Lombardi, Arjun Pirani, and our guest, Oliver Arora. We're extremely excited to have you here to talk some sports through the week with you.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
All right, and with that, we're just going to jump right into college football. And bowl season has just begun, and with that, probably the People's Championship, the Pop-Tart Bowl, featuring a really high-scoring affair with Iowa State versus Miami. Iowa State with a come-from-behind win, 42-41. The big story, though, Cam Ward sitting out the second half, and in that first half, breaking the all-time Division I touchdown record, passing Case Keenum of Houston. So it was just a really high scoring affair. I watched the game. I'm from Iowa, so I, gotta cheer for Iowa State. And it was interesting because really high scoring, but they just like benched him, and he decided to sit out in the second half. So in the beginning, it seemed like, hey, this is going to look great for the scouts in the NFL because he's suiting up his last game as a collegiate athlete. It's going to be awesome. But then he sat out the second half. So I don't know. That kind of just left a bad taste in my mouth. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, honestly, I couldn't agree more. I felt like in a way he was kind of suiting up just for the look. And then when it came down to it in the back half of the game, they had a chance to Ward rather had a chance to step back in and help carry Miami and the Hurricanes to a dub, and he just didn't get it done at all. He just sat on the sideline, earpiece in, and just watched the backup do all the work.
I don't blame him though. I don't blame him. It's stupid if he was to play. I've thought that. I know it's personal that he wants the record, and people are out there bashing him because he's abandoning his teammates. He's making the smartest decision for his future, and I think it was honestly the right decision for him. Clearly, it was personal to him that he wanted that record, and clearly, it's personal to him that he wants to stay healthy for the draft. And as an NFL scout, you don't look down upon a guy sitting out a bowl game because he's just making a smart business decision for his future.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that, like 90% of the other players sit out who have NFL hopes and NFL dreams and like who know that they're going to get picked. So I feel like, there's no purpose in, bashing on Cam Ward for sitting out in this game. I mean, yeah, he played the first half. I think honestly, you could respect a guy like that for going in and fighting for his own record. I think there's no reason. I think there's no difference between any other player between, say, Cam Ward sitting out and any other player sitting out for the NFL draft. I think it's a completely valid decision to do so. Sure, he could have gone in at the end, but he already had the record, and he's gonna be an overall high draft pick. I think that personally, there's no issue with Cam Ward sitting out.
Personally, I have no problem with people sitting out for bowl games. I like it. It happens. I don't like it. But it makes sense, right? A business decision. You don't want to get injured. There's not really any like reward to go out and win these bowl games. The Pop-Tart Bowl means nothing to him. But I do think it's a little weak that he goes out for the first half and gets his own record and then sits out and his team loses and he doesn't help it there, but he gets his own personal gain for that. Now, I'm curious to see how that'll translate to scouts and how they view that, where he comes in to do his own thing and then once his team needs him, he's not there.
But I just want to add on. We got to remember, like, what team out there wants to win the Pop Tart Bowl?
That's fair.
Gotta remember, like Miami, like they
Iowa
will
State
on,
wanted to win the Pop-Tart Bowl.
The trophy has a
Bronco
built-in
back.
toaster. What are you
The
talking about,
committee
man?
establishing
it's a functional.
the committee establishing a
obviously
12
did
team
not watch the
playoff.
game. It was cinema. Cinema.
That's
They
not the
got
point.
the
That's
old
not the
Pop-Tart
point.
that had died, brought it back from last year's Pop-Tart Bowl. They had people on the roof of the stadium doing shenanigans. They got a built-in toaster in the trophy. Are you kidding me? That is peak college sports, college football,
Arjun,
American football, television, cinema.
Ar- Arjun, Arjun. As pure cinema as the Pop Tart Bowl is, the committee shows the entirety of college football shows they don't care about any other bowl games when they established, honestly, the BCS Bowl. It's like, and then now it's a 12-team playoff. It's like the other games do not matter. So why would Cam Ward risk an injury just to like win the Pop Tart Bowl? Like, yeah, it's a trophy with a toaster in it. Who's gonna use the toaster?
So you think that that college football doesn't care about any of the other bowl games other than the
No, it does
college
not.
football?
No, it does
It
not.
does
You know how
not.
much
It does
revenue
not.
they make off of those bowl games?
The players
They
don't.
probably make
The
a lot.
players
Players
don't
don't
No one
care
care.
else
because they
cares.
get nothing from it.
They
Right.
get some merch.
It's
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's
no,
the
no, no.
culture, You're building a brand with the Cheez-It Bowl, the Duke's Mayo Bowl, the
My gosh.
Pop-Tart Bowl, the
I thought I
Pinstripe
make cool
Bowl.
takes. What is this?
And there's nothing. I'm not sure if you see the crowd at those games. It is like 50% attendance. They
I was
Oh,
gonna
close
say, like, well,
sections
high
of the
school
Also,
football
yeah,
games
stadium.
for
hey,
larger,
who
get
won the
larger
Pop Tart
than
Bowl
that,
last year,
dude. Like,
Arjun? Who
no.
won the Pop Tart Bowl last year?
dude, someone, I don't
Kansas
know.
Exactly.
State.
So you
Come
don't even
on,
know.
Hey,
Who
Kansas
State,
cares?
State.
come on.
Oh, what the
You
hell?
call
I
it
don't
culture,
know.
but you don't even remember.
Hey,
Move
hey, the
on, move on.
culture. I'm a bandwagon of the culture. I'm just hopping on the train.
I
But you
think I
guys can
think
hop on the train too.
oh gosh. Okay,
Okay.
whatever. Let's move on to a different subject for
Yeah,
Arjun.
another train that a
Makes us
lot
even
of people
colder.
have been hopping on is the Colorado hype train. And going into this game against BYU, Shador Sanders, Travis Hunter, we're expecting a huge game, the last collegiate game for the sons of Deion Sanders and pretty much other son with Travis Hunter, but definitely tripped and fell face first in this game. Not a good showing from Colorado. Could not handle the pressure. Shador, constant, I guess, lineman in his face because his blockers aren't doing their assignment. But what'd you guys see from this game?
Yeah, I mean the Alamo Bowl leading up to it was definitely a game that people anticipated to be close and gritty, but that was most definitely not the case. BYU and the Cougars, shout out Zach Wilson, had them in a complete box whole game. Had Deion Sanders throwing hissy fits on the sideline at the ref over blocking the back calls on a punt return down 25. So overall, the Mormons showed up great in San Antonio. They put on a great show against the Buffaloes. Made Dion look out of his element, and the Sanders triple-headed monster, you could say. And Travis Hunter coming off the Heisman win, and all of the speculation and all the criticism from the media and the media attention really looked a tad bit rattled throughout the game. He didn't have major yards until the third quarter, major receptions till the third quarter. And I think that was just part of the detriment that led to the Buffaloes losing.
But I mean, for me, that game was a lot less about Colorado and about, for me, a lot more about how I wish BYU didn't throw the second half of their season. Ranked as high as 6 and then losing to Kansas. I really enjoyed watching BYU this year with Jake Retzlaff at quarterback as well, a Jewish guy leading a Mormon school. There's not much better in college football, but they were actually such an enjoyable team to watch this year. And you saw it in that game. They had great dual attack in both the air and the ground. They were so enjoyable to watch, and it really makes me wish that they didn't lose to Kansas. I just wish I could have seen them in the college football playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with that, Tyler. Like, I didn't watch the second half. I had it off after like halftime, but what I saw from BYU is I thought was really convincing. I know like Hunter definitely has had a rough week with all the stuff he's been going through, but BYU they look really good, and it kind of had me wondering same thing, like how they would have looked if they snuck in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think I gotta agree with Tyler right there. I think this BYU team just looks really, really fun, and a Jewish guy leading a Mormon football team. That's the dream of college football right there. And I
That's
think
culture.
that's
Oh,
culture. That's culture, Arjun. And I think this is kind of a perfect testament just to the overall lack of actual quality there is on Colorado. Obviously, yeah, they went 9-4, which is an improvement from the 4-8 his first season for Deion Sanders. But I mean, like you beat an FCS school, you didn't beat a ranked team this year once. It's yeah. Again, I think this is just a perfect testament that this team is just not that good. And while Travis Hunter, like congratulations, won the Heisman. Again, we all agreed that probably should have been Jainty. But at the end of the day, I think that this BYU team, I agree. I think if they beat Kansas, I think it would have been a lot closer. If they played in one of the in the opening round games for the college football playoffs.
Okay, and let's talk about the college football playoffs this Saturday. It's going to kick off with, I believe, Penn State and Boise State going off first. So let's talk about some keys to the game. But let's just start with that first game, Penn State versus Boise State. It's going to be. Is it going to be no? Is it at Boise? No, yeah, it's at Boise State.
Yeah.
Correct?
It's the
Neutral
Fiesta
sites,
Bowl.
neutral
it's
sites,
in,
It's the
neutral sites.
Fiesta Bowl.
Oh, you're right.
Shoot,
You're right.
I don't know what I'm thinking. Okay.
Which okay, I know how I would take about this. I don't think a college team should be able to win two of the New Year's Six bowls in one year. I think we should just keep it how it always was. Just the semifinal games are a New Year's Six bowl, but that's just me. Continue.
Okay, yeah, but so I know Arjun's a Penn State fan, so he's definitely going to have a lot of things to say about this. But let's all just go over and give our quick, keys to the game. I think for me, the biggest one, it's going to fall on Penn State. I think it's going to be how Drew Aller performs. It's going to be a little bit of a tough environment. Or sorry, yeah, it's a big game. This is going to be the biggest game that he's played in. We saw him kind of with that late choke against Oregon, throwing an interception just right off the 2-minute warning. So I'll be really interested to see how he performs against a Boise State defense that is really underrated.
Yeah, I mean, my key to the game is immediately for Penn State, rather, is that they're slow starts. Penn State in the past 3 years has been a second half team. If you look at the USC game earlier this year, we were down 28-3. That game we should not have won, but Tyler Warren is reincarnated Jesus, and he came back and he put the team on his back, and he brought us back in a win in Los Angeles. Now for Boise State, it's getting Ash and Genty going early. That is not going to be a problem, but for Boise State, this game will be won in the trenches. Penn State has an undersized D line. Our biggest D tackle is 270 pounds. If the Boise State offensive line gets moving and they start making big holes for Genty, it's going to be a long day for that Penn State defense.
For me, the way I looked at it, watching the Penn State in the first round, something that I really liked about Penn State, which I think Boise State's gonna have to shut down early, is the running game from Penn State. Katron Allen and Nick Singleton are both great runners. And in the Oregon game as well, Big Ten championship, they both got active and they were both a big part of why Oregon couldn't really shake Penn State. And I feel like if Boise State wants to be able to compete, they have to shut down the running game and force Drew Aller to throw the ball. Because when Drew Aller's throwing the ball, he's mistake prone. He can make big plays, but he makes lots of rash decisions and throws interceptions where, when you shut down that running offense, you're forcing Drew Aller into uncomfortable situations.
I'm oh me?
You're good. You're good. Go.
Oh, okay. I think the biggest matchup that like I guess people are talking about it is like something that really favors Boise State is besides Tyler Warren, I don't think the Penn State receivers are really that great, like not at the level that of other teams. So I think that this is a really good draw for them. And like out of all the teams left in the eight there, I think that Penn State is the best matchup for them. They're obviously in the ground pound with Genty. He has 3 weeks of rest coming off of Heisman loss. He's hungry. So I think Boise State are people are sleeping on them. James Franklin finally got his big win last week against SMU, pretty convincingly. But I think that Boise State a real good chance here.
Yeah, I mean, Arjun took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, we know that Penn State gets off to slow starts, so I think for Boise State to win, I think it's not going to be, how well can you perform in the first half when Penn State's slow. I think it's going to be how high of a level you can perform during the entire game. Penn's like when that second half wave comes for the Nittany Lions, they're going to be playing a lot better. They're going to be trying to win the game in that second half. And so I think it's not whether you can get JT to score every touchdown in the first half. I think it's can you be consistent throughout the entire game and have JT find those alleys and have him find the right blockers just to be able to get through a really good Penn State rushing defense. I think for Penn State, I think it's if you can start off strong in the first half, I think there's not a lot Boise State is going to be able to do against them. But I feel like at the end of the day, it's college football. You never really know. So go Broncos.
Okay, so the next game that we're going to go over, it's going to be Georgia versus Notre Dame. So I think the biggest thing that everyone is going to be focused on is how can Gunnar Stockton perform for this Georgia offense? I mean, they don't really need him to be a superstar or anything. He just needs to be a game manager. He just has to make the right reads, the right throws, the right decisions at the right time. And I'd be really interested to see how Trevor Etienne is going to be doing against this Notre Dame defense, which is really good because we know Etienne's a really special back, and if he can get going, he's really going to carry this Georgia offense. So I'm really going to be excited to see how Notre Dame's going to try and respond to that.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a very defensive, run-heavy game, one of the trenches. Jeremiah Love and Etienne are going to have a field day, is what I'm predicting. I think that Leonard and Stockton are going to lay low for the most part, not anything over 20 pass attempts less than 200 yards in total. These pass coverage, well, these corners and safeties for Georgia and Notre Dame respectively are world class, all American level talent. And with Stockton coming in, you're not going to risk your college football playoff run from a backup quarterback who hasn't saw the field a lot unless you're playing Mercer County, right? And if you're Notre Dame, you know what you can do and you can stick to your guns with Jeremiah Love. He just had an amazing game against Indiana. He's on the hot streak. He's dangerous. Everybody in college football knows he's dangerous. And just keep it going. And with that, Notre Dame should win.
Yeah, I'm completely agreeing with you there, and especially with you got the week's rest. Jeremiah Love was slightly hurt in the Indiana game, couldn't get all the reps. Now he's going to get more and more reps. The big thing I'm seeing is a lot of Georgia fans are really confident in Gunnar Stockton after the Texas game. After rewatching that Texas game, I would not be confident in Gunnar Stockton at all. He was a pure game manager that choked when he was in the Texas half to put the game away. Threw a stupid interception with no receivers in the area. He was purely just managing the game. And one thing with Notre Dame, they have a very strong run defense. They shut down Indiana's running attack the entire game until the starters came out, forced them to about 2 yards per carry, I believe. And it was just, it was strength in the front line, great linebackers, and overall Notre Dame was able to combat it very well. With Georgia being forced to run the ball, I think Notre Dame, if they can dominate the trenches, they'll have an easy game. But if they can't really stop Etienne and Frazier, then I feel like this would be a very close game.
I'm really looking forward to see how Riley Leonard plays out. I think over the season he's gotten like better. He started out really slow against NYU and all that stuff. But the passing game for Notre Dame is definitely their weakest part, I'd say. What's his name? Faison, right? Is that
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
guy?
Jordan Faison.
He
Also
showed up
lacrosse
against
player.
Indiana. Yeah. He showed up against Indiana. He was pretty good. So I think they got to get the passing game going against Georgia, but they'll be fine in the trenches. I think that, yeah, if they get Georgia to pass the ball, get it out of Etienne's hands, make Stockton throw, then I think that Notre Dame will take it.
I think that this Notre Dame secondary is absolutely. I mean, this Notre Dame secondary looks great. I mean, Curtis Rogue. Oh boy, Kurt.
Oh no.
You know what I'm gonna say. I'm
Here we
dyslexic.
go again.
You are so close, man.
Curtis Rogue. No, wait. Curtis. Oh gosh.
You're almost there, man.
Curtis Rourke. Rourke.
Yep.
Curtis
Yeah,
Rourke.
yeah.
Yes. All right, let's go. Curtis Rourke is he was one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the entirety of the in the entirety of the FBS. And the Notre Dame secondary were able to shut him down relatively well. Now he did throw for 2 touchdowns, yes, but I feel like in the end they had him for almost the entire game, and they were able to. They had him for the entire game, and they were almost able to shut him out completely. It was just fourth quarter shenanigans with Mr. Rourke. But when you have a backup quarterback who has not played very well, and I know I've praised Gunnar Stockton, I praised him heavily in the last video because I feel he could be, a Brock Purdy archetype kind of guy where it's a backup quarterback who comes in and plays a good system. I feel Gunnar Stockton may not be at the level where he can rely off his receivers and he can rely off Trevor Etienne to come in and win this game. However, I do feel that there is hope within the Notre Dame rushing game. Now, they were able to shut down Indiana on the ground, but I feel Trevor Etienne is going to be better than whatever Indiana was throwing at Notre Dame. So I do feel that in a sense, it's going to be close. It's going to be a dogfight. I think Georgia's going to come out with this. Trevor Etienne's going to run through him.
Okay, another college football game that we're going to cover is Texas versus Arizona State. Arizona State's the higher seed, but there's a lot of people that think, and I do also think, that Texas is the better team. I see Texas winning, and I think it's really just going to be how they can stop Cam Skattebo. I mean, that's simply how Arizona State will or will not win the game is the performance of Skattebo.
Yeah, I would agree with you a lot on that take. I feel like a lot of these games in the college football playoff are dependent on the offensive line and how fast they can get the running game going. For Arizona State, that is the key. But for Texas, Quinn Ewers if you go back to the SEC championship, he had a very, very slow start. He had an early pick on his second drive out, He threw up a fade ball on the right hand, on the right sideline, and it got completely picked off and swung the momentum of the game for the most part. So I think one of the keys to the game for the Longhorns is to get quick passes for Ewers and to get him into a rhythm, sort of a comfortable uh seat rather, and get him and the Longhorns offense churning. And then for Arizona State, it's just to get Scatterbo going. And if they can't get Scatterbo going, then they're gonna have to get one dimensional. And that's when Texas's defense really looks to thrive.
See, I'm actually gonna disagree with you about Cam Scatterbo being the key to this game. We saw it last week with Clemson. Cade Klubnik threw the ball all over Texas's defense. Texas defense was struggling to contain the passing offense from Clemson, and Sam Levitt has been that guy as of recently. He's thrown the ball incredibly well, and this Arizona State's a very dual threat team. Cam Scatterbo is absolutely amazing, and in my idea, Texas is going to be forced, or they are going to, prepare for Cam Scatterbo and sort of push Sam Levitt to the side. I think this is a game where Sam Levitt is going to be the key factor for Arizona State. I do think Texas will win, um, but I don't think people are, people are overreacting. The spread's at -13 for Texas's favor. I feel like this game is going to be a lot closer than everybody says.
Yeah, I think game will be close too. Credit to Sam Levitt and Scatabo. They've done a great job with Arizona State this season. Um, getting into where they are, but I think that Texas just have too much firepower. Like position for position, they're better. And I think that that'll just get them the job. Uh, enough said.
That's it.
Yeah, I think that Scatabo for Clemson was I think he actually did very very well, and I think that against a very good Texas Longhorn secondary in my opinion. And wait, shoot, wait, am I speaking? Okay, excuse me. Cade Klubnik. My bad. Everyone, that's on me. Cade Klubnik, that's on me. My bad. Um, I felt like he did do very well against a very good Texas secondary, in my opinion. And I feel like the Longhorns secondary did show some weakness. So I actually agree with Tyler right here. I don't think it's going to be Weatherby. Scatabo is going to be able to run through. Scatabo is going to be able to run through this Texas team. I think it's going to be how well is Texas able to prepare for all sides of the Arizona State offense. And I think in the end it's probably going to try. Arizona State's going to have to try and force a shootout. I don't think that the Arizona State defense is going to be able to keep up with the Texas offense. Arizona State will try and force it to a shootout. I just don't think they're going to have enough. They're not going to have enough ammunition to keep it like that, and so Texas will probably take it.
Okay, in our final game, it's going to be Ohio State versus Oregon. Another matchup from earlier in the season where Oregon did win that one off of a bad coaching, and that's where my key to the game is going to be coaching. Can Ryan Day outcoach Dan Lanning? That's the big thing. Is Ryan Day going to crap the bed? I mean, who knows? That's going to be the biggest decision as to why Ohio State will or will not win this game.
To me, I really think it's about Oregon's wide receiver core. Tez Johnson in the Big Ten championship game lit up Penn State. He had over 150 receiving yards. He had an outstanding game. He looked unstoppable. Um, Along with that, I think another key to the game is Oregon as a team. They haven't played in over 3 weeks of football. They haven't played football in over 3 weeks. Are they going to come out rusty or are they going to come out rested? I feel like you're going to realize that from the first jump. Ohio State just played a competent SEC Tennessee volunteer team, and they have played more recently. Now that means they could be more banged up, but I feel like that's going to be the ultimate thing that dictates this final game for Ryan Day and Dan Lanning.
Yeah, I completely agree with you about that take of Oregon might being rusty or rested. It's been a while since they've played, and for me, the Ohio State, it's momentum. The momentum swing is huge. They're off of such a bad loss to Michigan, and you swing like that to Tennessee and take such a huge win. But more importantly, they finally got Will Howard going. They were getting Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Ibuka the ball. The offense finally looked fluid. Chip Kelly, might keep his job, but it was a lot more fluid. But as a Michigan fan, I just can't see Ohio State winning this. And like Braden said, it's a big coaching thing. I don't think Ryan Day has the materials to really pull this out and dig deep. They got out quick against Tennessee, and from there it was an easy walk. He didn't really have to do much. If Oregon keeps it close, he's not gonna know what to do, and I feel like that's where Oregon takes it.
Yeah, I think like Oregon have definitely been the most consistent team in college football this year. That's why they're the 1 seed. Dylan Gabriel has had an amazing season. Their defense is they get stops, they do what they need to do. And they're coming off a 3 weeks rest. But I think that Ohio State will take this one. Talked about that receiving core of Smith and Igbuka. Like Oregon's secondary isn't the greatest, and I think that if you talk about Will Howard getting going there, Tyler, like if they get him going and those guys are clicking, I think that Oregon won't really have a counter to that. And no one needs to win more than Ryan Day, right? Like he's heard all the criticism at Ohio State about like how he can't win big games. Coming off of that Tennessee win, they're hungry. I think they take it.
Yeah, no, I think that this Oregon team is. I think it's pretty evenly matched between these two teams. I think, yes, we saw in the previous meeting between these two teams that it came down to just an unfortunate slide by Will Howard, and so I think it's a question of whether he's matured now. Does he have enough more experience under his belt now to come into this game with a lot more of a level head? I also want to go back to Archie's point of how Ohio State, they're coming off a big momentum swing right now. They're coming off that great win against Tennessee, and the March Madness. If you guys watch March Madness, you'll know that the team that win that not that like 9 times out of 10, the team that wins the first 4 games, at least one's going to move on because you can see that momentum swing, and you can see the team start to gel earlier than the team that they play when going in the actual tournament. So I think that. While this Ohio State team is going to have a lot on their side, I don't think that Chip Kelly's offense or Ryan Day's coaching is going to be able to outmatch anything that Oregon really throws at them. I think Oregon's just going to take this in the end.
Okay, and that's going to wrap up our college football talk. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.